Hi, everybody. Welcome to our program. This is David Nevins for City Biz, and thank you so much for joining us. And our guest today is Zuri Berry, and he is the executive editor of the Banner, Montgomery. Zuri, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, David. Thank you for asking me to join this show. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
As are we, as are we. So let's begin. I know you're the executive editor of the Banner, new in Montgomery County, but before we get to that, maybe just talk about the Banner in general. Tell us a little bit about the Banner, what the Banner is trying to accomplish, and maybe a moment or two on how you arrived at your position.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So the Banner is a 3-year-old plus local independent nonprofit newsroom. And it was sort of born out of this idea from Stuart Bainham, our chief funder and founder, looking to launch a news organization that, again, at the time, really felt like there wasn't a lot of resources being given to local media in the Baltimore area. Now, it has since grown since then, right? It started very Baltimore City centric, and obviously it expanded out into the counties that included Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, and Howard County. And as it continued to expand and grow and gain favor with the public, obviously our ambitions have grown as well. So we're very much focused on local civic issues, the arts, culture, food, dining, all of those things, but obviously accountability reporting, investigations, lots of, I would say, good data driven journalism as well. We do all of those things. And in the last year, we've since made our biggest expansion leap, and that is to Montgomery County, where we now have a bureau of about 10 reporters and editors.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us, Zuri. So you're overseeing 10 reporters and editors, um, and you're up and running now. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the kind of stories that you're bringing to readers and what the reaction has been.
So it's great. We were able to think about this for some time before we officially launched, and we sort of have a blueprint already in terms of the first launch of the Banner, in terms of what might resonate with residents. And so we kicked off actually with a poll of Montgomery County residents to get a pulse of the community. And this was sort of critical to one, helping us sort of lay the groundwork for further reporting down the road, but also really make sure that we were aligned in terms of what we thought was newsy, important, things that were of significance. So that poll sort of really highlighted or identified that despite this being one of the wealthiest counties in the state, if not the wealthiest, uh, depending on what metric you look at, there is a deep level of anxiety about the cost of living in Montgomery County. And so, what we're trying to do, not just with this poll, but also our other reporting, is that really look at deep trending issues that are affecting the county. A lot of challenges that sort of go unreported because of, if you will, the wealth of the county, or at least the perception of wealth of the county. So, there are a lot of issues that have become of importance to us as we've gone in now 2.5+ months of operation. We are very much focused on sort of if you will, the politics, which I think is surface level in terms of a county executive race and all these other things. But now we're seeing like pedestrian safety being a prominent issue for residents and something that really fires people up. And so we've covered that with, I think, with good rigor and vigor. And we obviously are paying very close attention to environmental issues as they popped up. But we're seeing, again, sort of the affordability issue keep creeping back up. And that has been a trend line for us. So there's a lot of good storytelling to be done and a lot of good data to sort of look at as well.
I'm sure there is, Zuri. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that I grew up in Montgomery County, actually, and in back in the day, as they say, there were myriad places where you could go for local news. And a lot of them, not unlike the national media landscape, a lot of them have gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And you all at the Banner have jumped in. So, what kind of a reaction are you getting from people? And I know you're out there selling subscriptions and trying to generate readers. Um, Tell us about the impact thus far.
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question, David, because I was just at a listening session last week, and I got another one coming up here shortly. This one was in Germantown, up county, if you will. And, we're hearing from people who are obviously uh, concerned about the lack of information, lack of news, lack of attention that the second largest community, if you will, outside of Baltimore City, receives in the state. This is a community of almost 100,000 people, right? And so it's really difficult to get news when there's just a news desert. And so if you go back to the year 2000, there were about 40 journalists per 100,000 per capita in the country as well as in the state of Maryland. If you look now, it's 8.2 across the country, 8.3 in Maryland. So there are just fewer journalists doing this work, fewer journalists that are doing the day of news reporting, information gathering, or journalist like work. And so we feel like there's been a real opportunity. And that's what people keep telling us is that we're just glad you're here because the Sentinel isn't here, the Gazette isn't here. All of these former news
Right.
organizations that would cover the day to day, local council, school board, high school sports, etc., they're just not there. And so they're sort of dying, reaching out and saying, hey, I'm just glad you're doing something. Give me just a little bit of something because otherwise I don't know what's going on, or I don't feel like my issues are being heard or being addressed in any kind of serious, considerable way. And I would take this to another level as well. We're starting to see power brokers, political figures, government officials, those really reach out to us and connect with us because they know that again there is this lack, there's this gap of information that is happening within the community, and that if we can connect somehow with members of the community, with their local officials, and just get the word out about whatever they're trying to get the word about, that is helpful to them. And so we're seeing again enthusiasm from people who you would not want it from in the first place as a journalist, but then also enthusiasm from readers, just generally speaking. And that's different than what I've experienced in any other place. So I'm really happy with the reception we've had so far. And I would go so far as to say that our subscriber numbers are starting to show for that. We've already sort of had a base of some subscribers in Montgomery County. It was a small one. Now we've, I think, added at least 2,800 subscribers just in the county, and that's continuing to grow every day. So we're really happy about that.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And as consumers of news, you and I and many of our viewers here, excuse me, it's there's no shortage of places where you can get national news, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and whether it's the New York Times or whether it's Facebook, people get their news where they want to get their news. But local news, you guys have really jumped in to fill to fill a void, and it seems as if it's paying off for you.
Yeah, what's interesting is that people often ask me about, well, how are you going to respond to the Trump administration, or how are you going to respond to this federal thing, what may have you? And oftentimes there is no response for us because it's just not our area of focus. We are focused on county council issues, planning board issues, zoning, permits, those things of that nature, that sort of gunk of government that people don't like to think about, but is rich in actually storytelling in terms of what it means for a community or a neighborhood. That's where we put our attention and focus. And it keeps us out of the politics, if you will, of the moment right now, which I think are fraught. That doesn't, with that being said, that doesn't take us out of it completely, right? There are issues that obviously impact our local workforce, our local economy. I mean, the federal government has so many institutions just in Montgomery County, federal workforce in Montgomery County. Those people are being affected every day by what this administration is doing. And we're covering the aftermath of that. So there's a bit of both there, if you will.
Zuri, tell us a little bit. I think you mentioned the number 10, but tell us a little bit about the news team you've been able to assemble.
Yeah. So we have Lauren Marco, news editor, formerly of the Ford, accomplished journalist, somebody who was a producer on the Kojo Namdi show. Absolutely tremendous talent there. Talia Richmond, education reporter, one of the best education reporters in the country. went to UMD, was at the Sun, went out to Texas to go back home there for a moment and realized that Maryland is actually her home. And so we decided to come with us. So we're really happy to have her. And she's a tremendous investigative education journalist, I think. And then we have Jack Hogan, Daily Record alum, Frederick Post alum, somebody who knows the State House well and has turned his attention to growth and business development and the economy. And of course, we have Jenny Bixby, who covered Montgomery County local government for years with Bethesda Today, Bethesda Magazine, Moco 360, and is now with us covering local government. So we have all of this dearth of experience and others as well. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole list.
No, listen, my apologies. I sprung the question on you.
No, it's okay.
And so my apologies to the half a dozen others who I'm not going to give you time to mention their names.
But
no doubt they're hard at work
Yeah.
on stories.
Absolutely. We have a tremendous group of people that we've been able to pull together with a depth of experience in the region that we're all excited about and seeing what they might accomplish as we continue to sort of build steam here. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy about the group.
Are there any interesting stories that you and the team are working on now that you can share with us a few tidbits about?
Yeah, speaking of Talia and education, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts right now with MCPS, Montgomery County Public Schools. And part of that is I think a lot of people are focused on the boundary studies, sort of what school your kid might go to based on what neighborhood you bought
Right.
into, et cetera, et cetera. That is of interest. But I think what people have overlooked is the fragile state of the schools themselves, the infrastructure issues, the facility problems that are at some of these schools. Very accomplished and sort of I want to say the schools are tremendous for these particular students and the families that are able to attend them, but they're a crumbling infrastructure. So Talia is very much focused on this issue as well. And so there will be a series of stories that will come out about that. And then, of course, special education, which I think that there's just a great number of families that have students that have special education needs of some sort. And you'd be surprised, not so surprised, I'm saying that sarcastically, that they're not always getting served in the way that they should. And so there'll be more reporting about that as well.
Again, great to hear. I'm a big consumer of news and local news. I love local news, and they say all politics is local, and probably all news or most news starts out locally as well.
Yeah.
So I want to wish you a lot of luck and congratulations, Zuri, on what you're doing. But let me close by asking, how does one contact the banner? How does one learn more? And how does one potentially subscribe if that's what they'd like to do?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I mean, we always take tips@thebanner.com for those who want to share ideas or just want to get in touch with a wide breadth of people here. So I would just make that available to anyone. But of course, go to thebanner.com, check us out because, obviously we have a paywall, but that doesn't mean if you've never heard of us before, if this is the first time you're hearing of us, you obviously have access to our stories. You can poke around and see what's good to you and read a couple of stories before that hits you up and says, hey, and the great thing about what we do is that we offer our organizations breadth of journalism for 6 months for just $1. So you can always subscribe at thebanner.com/subscribe. And of course, if you're feeling in the giving mood, you go to thebanner.com/give too, because we're a nonprofit. And if you want to support local journalism and accountability within your local government, this is the best way to do it.
Well, Zuri, we've really enjoyed this conversation, and I wish you much success and luck. And perhaps we'll have you back in maybe 6 months to talk about all the new subscribers you've picked up and some of the
all the
stories.
wins and all the wins
and all the wins. That's 100% true. I really look forward to watching you succeed. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, David. Take care. Okay.
Yeah, likewise. Our guest today has been Zuri Berry, and he is the executive editor of the banner Montgomery. So I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. And this is David Nevins for City Biz. And thank you so much for your time as well.